Thank you all Patriots for being out there today. I want to thank Tammy, 3%ers, everybody involved in putting this together. I want to thank Caleb. Young man is an inspiration. This is what we need. More people like Caleb. And I'm going to get into that because our children are how we are going to turn around this country. Yes. So have you had enough of Washington?
Yes.
I have too.
Yes. Amen.
I stand before you with the honor today of being a candidate for a Republican candidate for Congress in the city of Baltimore.
Whoa.
And you guys know what's been going on in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But I stand before you first as an American. Party, as George Washington said, will destroy.
Amen.
It's conservative principles that made this country great. And what the socialists and the left have been doing have been changing the game. And they are smart. Don't ever underestimate them. Because they have changed the founding of this country since the beginning. And that's what we need to get back to. So today I want to talk to you about how do we change the people a little bit on the left that can be changed. Because a lot of what we do doesn't necessarily work. I want to also tell you the pledge to America that I will be pushing, which is 10 principles that we will be holding all candidates and all members of Congress to. I'm going to get into that. And then I'm going to ask you what you've had enough of. And then I'm going to turn it back over. So, our nation was founded and has became the greatest nation on the country in the history of this earth. Yet, the socialists and people who support tyranny have been changing this country. What they have done in growing up, I grew up watching the Clintons, and they were great politicians. Not great people.
Right.
And I don't think Epstein killed himself either.
Yes,
I have to
sir.
say,
Thank you.
Jason, very good bringing that up.
Yeah, he did it. I know that for sure.
I asked this question to you guys. How many socialists have you been able to convert to conservatism? None, right?
Democrat.
How many conservatives have actually converted to socialism?
None.
Well, it doesn't happen. The reason is we are hardwired differently. And the indoctrination that goes on with our children's education. I'm a former executive in the mental health field, and I learned quickly that there are two types of mindsets. There are the logic-based people, which is just about all of you out there today.
Right.
We think with logic.
Right.
But there are people out there who don't care about the logic. They don't care what it says in the Constitution. They care with emotion.
Right.
Those people we can't reach by speaking logic. We need to find a way to talk to them. So, what's that?
Common sense.
Common sense, yes. So what we need to do is to change the messaging. There was a great guy, I think his name's President Trump, who came up with something we've always said, but he pushed it as America First.
Right. Right.
And America First ties into that emotion of putting our veterans first,
Yes.
our seniors first,
Yes.
our children first.
Yes.
Yes.
I ran as a write-in candidate for a local race last year because I was upset with the Republicans. They were rhinos. And I said, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to just create a message that plays on the emotion, but says the same thing as what we all really think. We think if you're going to come to this country, you're going to come the right way, and you're going to assimilate, and you're going to be productive.
American value.
Yes.
Yes.
So, but when we say no to illegal immigration, we get called the party of no.
Right. Right.
So I changed the message very slightly, and I said, American kids first.
All right.
And I had many liberals say, I'm voting for you, and I don't stand with anything you believe, but I know you're going to put my kids first.
Right. Right.
And it was that message and that time that I realized this is what we need to do.
Right.
We can tell each other what we already think, that the government overreaches and that they are taking away our rights, but that's only going to go so far. So we need to do what the Democrats have done, and we need to tap into emotion, because people will stick to emotion and emotional reasons more than they will logic many times. So I ask you, when you think about a topic that's going on and you're speaking with someone, ask them this question first. What is the role of government? And their answer should be to protect our God-given rights.
Right. Right.
And this common belief is you have the God-given right to do whatever you want with your life, provided you don't take away that right from another.
Right.
Most people will agree with that.
Right.
And if they do, then you have the foundation to begin to change that person.
Right.
If they don't believe it, leave them be, because they are not American and they are not part of what we really want.
Amen.
So find that message with them. Change the message so that you can find the emotion in our message. It's something as simple as, instead of no illegals, American kids first. We are on the offense because the Republicans so many times are not on the offense, they're on the defense. And that is hard to watch. And we always lose that message.
Yep. Yep.
Amen.
So I entered this race because, well, I live in Baltimore. And thank you, President Trump, for calling out what's been going on in Baltimore.
Yes.
And it doesn't just affect Baltimore, it's affecting everyone from everywhere in this country, because the taxes are coming from the federal government as well.
Yes.
But the city, like many other cities around this nation, have been ran by socialists for 60 years. They're destroyed, and they're pushing out their problems now to the surrounding counties because they can't live with the results that they have.
Right.
So, I have 5 kids, military family, 3%er. I love this country.
Yeah.
I decided down here in DC back in July, I was going to run for Congress. I knew my district was gerrymandered. I knew it was going to be extremely hard to do. But I put out the message, American kids first, and have you had enough? And it started to take off. And I started to get phone calls from national radio people, the biggest ones you can think of, meetings with very high influential people. And they started to tell me they think that Baltimore can be flipped. President Trump wants Baltimore flipped because he wants it to be a blueprint for how conservative values will fix the socialist problems created.
Yes. Yes.
So I decided, many of these politicians are right over there. They don't care. Some of them got in there to change the system, but then they learned quickly, it's safer just to go along with it. And I didn't want that to happen. And people have asked, well, Tim, if you win, will that happen to you? I said no, because I'm going to create a pledge to all of America, like the contract with America, with 10 key principles on what every candidate, every elected person should be responsible for to the country. And that starts with number 1, expanding our veterans' benefits. Because our veterans have been abused, as many of you know. And we have great speakers talking about it earlier here. Number 2, protecting our free speech.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, I lost my place here for a second.
We all do that once in a while.
3, thank you. Hey, it was Common Core. I'm on the right thing. We're not electing Common Core.
No.
Enough of Common Core. As the gentleman before me was speaking about, he was stealing some of my thunder. We need to end the big pensions for Congress.
Yes.
We need to stop. We need to put in term limits.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They won't go for it,
Right.
but we'll push them.
Yes.
And I always say, the many people on the right, especially very conservative people, will say, well, term limits are elected. That's what it's in the Constitution. And I say, okay, then why do we have a term limit on the president?
Right.
Because if you're going to have one, you have it for all.
Yes.
Things have changed in that nature. We need term limits.
Yes.
We need to stop taxpayer money funding abortions.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Wherever you stand on abortion,
Yes.
our money should not go to that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
We need to protect our Second Amendment rights no matter what.
Yes.
Being in the mental health field, people bring up red flag laws. A Republican governor in Maryland pushed this red flag law stuff last year. People have died already from it. And I say no red flag laws.
Amen.
We need merit-based immigration.
Amen. Amen.
Lastly on my list here for this, we need to always put America first. Another message that I wanted to bring up before I forget was a commercial that I saw a few years back. It was an NRA commercial, and it hit me. And I thought about this. It was with, I believe, Dana Lash. And in that commercial, it doesn't say the Second Amendment and it's written that we can have guns. It basically says in this commercial, I'm a woman and I need to protect my family and myself. That emotion that from that commercial rang true with me and many other people. And if we can tap into that kind of emotion, then we can get our message along to people who don't think like we do, but we resonate the real message, which is the founding of this of this nation with our Constitution. So, I want to ask you a couple questions, and then I'm going to turn it over. And it's been a great day, and it's not too cold. Have you had enough of Washington politicians? Have you had enough of Washington infringing upon our free speech? Have you had enough of Washington pushing down restrictive gun laws? Have you had enough of Washington taxing you beyond belief? Have you had enough of career politicians? Have you had enough of our government giving aid to our adversaries and not protecting our real allies? Last one. Have you had enough of our government pushing socialism upon all of us? Then stand with me today. Let's take back our country. Let's take back our nation. And as always, God bless and American kids first. Thank you, guys.